through this one. You saw the new Shazam, right?
Yeah. Shazam. Oh no,
Fury
I
of the Gods.
haven't. Fuck, I forgot about that one too. So there's two I haven't seen. I've seen Black
Okay.
Adam. I thought you were
Okay,
talking
cool.
about Black Adam. Yeah, yeah. So
Okay,
it's
do you want to
fine.
open up this one?
Yeah, we'll open it up.
All right, let me hit this real quick. I'm good.
Cool. 3, 2, 1. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of From Screen to Shelf. This is Gabe. I'm here with my partner in crime, Chase, and we were thinking about doing another ranking video today, but like we didn't. So we were gonna do superhero movies, but we didn't want
Yeah.
to talk about superhero movies. We're like really on that superhero fatigue. We're like we just
Yep.
don't want to do it, but we had a cool twist on it where like the DCU kind of sucks for the most part.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
wasn't that great. So why don't we
Mhm.
rank the DCU movies since they weren't that great to begin with, and we can just shit on them all day.
Yeah.
I think that was
Yeah.
kind of the premise with this video. So we're actually going to start with Man of Steel, right? And correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
Chase. That's what sparked this universe, and then we're going to end it with Blue Beetle.
Yes.
Okay, because Blue Beetle's a weird one. That one kind of kicked off the James Gunn one, but it's also the finale
Yeah,
of
it's
this
also like its
one.
own thing.
Yeah. So, if you guys didn't like these films, I mean, sit back, relax, because we're probably gonna shit on most of them. I didn't enjoy a lot of these movies when they came out. There's a few good ones though. I feel like there are some like diamonds in the rough with this franchise before it kind of fizzled out. But we are gonna get to ranking them. I think we're gonna do the same format as before. We're gonna. What was the time frame we gave ourselves last time?
About an hour or
An
60
hour.
minutes.
Let
Yeah.
let's try and you want to shoot. Let's try and shoot for. I want to do it like a little bit more challenging. Maybe 45 minutes,
Yeah, we can do that. Like 45 minutes to
and
50
then
or
kind
so.
of process it a little bit afterwards.
Yeah, we could probably tear through this one really quick. Plus this tier list, courtesy of whoever made it, as we usually do. They forgot Batman v BVS.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, but I mean it's easy to forget.
Interesting. Yeah, no, that is easy to
Yeah,
for the
easy to
most part,
forget.
unless we're going to talk about director's cut, which I think that's a
Yeah,
little bit of a different story. So I'll set a timer, and then we'll kind of try to do it. Let's see. You want to shoot for 40 minutes or 45 minutes?
45 minutes. We can knock that
45
out.
minutes. Cool. So we'll do
Yeah.
45 minutes. We'll start it off in 3, 2, 1. All
Boom.
right, cool. Got the
All right.
timer going right there.
We'll go
Um,
in release order.
so Man of
So we'll
Steel.
probably go, yeah, Man of Steel, which I consider to be
I
probably
think
the
this
best
is the
movie.
gem. Yeah, I think this is like the gem of the whole, and it's not
Yeah.
because Christopher Nolan produced it, I promise.
It's
um,
it's just works for the most part. There's some questionable things that they decided to do to kick off an entire universe, but I think that it was much more stronger than it was weaker in any of those departments.
I mean,
We get
did
Henry
they have
Cavill.
that idea though when this film came out that they were starting a whole DC
Yeah.
universe? I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember back in the days when this film came out because this was coming off the heels of The
Dark Knight
Dark Knight
Rises.
Rises. Yeah, and then like
Yeah.
everyone was stoked. It was Zack Snyder and Nolan collaborating, and I don't know if I got the vibe that it was like going to be a whole DC universe. I know they wanted to do some Superman movies.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was supposed to because I also remember the talk of the town being like the CW verse was going on at that time with like Arrow and
Oh,
stuff
Arrow,
like
yeah.
that. And people were like, oh, does this tie in? A lot of like DC really wasn't letting people know. The only thing that they said is that this universe and this universe are different from like Dark Knight universe and then what
Hmm.
they were trying to start up. And then as it
Okay.
started unraveling, then they announced BVS, which was their next entry, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I think you and I this is like probably the easiest one that we're gonna rank. I at least to me, I would even argue this is one of the better, or if not, if someone said this is their favorite Superman movie, I wouldn't argue against it.
It is my favorite Superman movie. I
Yeah,
mean, it's just a great Superman and the best Zod with Michael
best
Shannon.
Zod, best portrayal by Henry Cavill, and I just love. I mean, I guess the only thing people really shit on with this movie is just, I guess, the mass destruction they have at their
Yeah.
final battle. That's like a
Yeah.
little bit excessive, but like I mean, the story's just so good, man, and I love
Yeah.
those flashback scenes where you see the younger Clark Kent just trying to acclimate and adjust. Because I don't feel like we really had, scenes like that in other
Mhm.
Superman movies, right? So, like, I really felt for the character because he really did feel like, quote, unquote, like, alien, like, he felt like he didn't
Yeah.
really belong here, and, it was an emotional story, and you got, what's her face, who plays, Lois Lane. Why am
Amy
I
Adams.
Amy Adams, and I freaking love Amy Adams, dude. I think she's a
Yeah.
phenomenal actress. Like, you had a really good cast, good story, good special effects for the most part.
Yeah,
I
I
thought it was
agree.
a great movie. I love that movie, dude.
Yeah, it's a ton of fun. Would you give it A or S?
I'd give it an S.
Yeah, I
I
agree.
100% would. I mean, compared to all these other movies, this is like the
Yeah,
godfather of
yeah.
of this
No, for sure.
franchise, dude.
Yeah, and I mean, the next one that we have on that one, which is not on here for some reason, I mean, again, easy to forget, but, is Batman v Superman, and since it's not gonna make it onto that because there's no picture on this one.
Okay.
I'd assume we talk about the Ultimate Edition in order to kinda give it a better shake
Which is
since
the
it's a much
director's
better
cut? Is
movie.
that what it's called, the
Yeah,
Ultimate Edition? Yeah,
yeah.
because I mean, like, let's just say flat out theatrical would probably hit a D or an F.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
D,
so, like
easily.
yeah, so if we're talking about the director's cut, I think that there are some moments that and I blame Warner Brothers for this more so than Zack Snyder because I think Zack Snyder was really excited to get the whole cut out.
Yeah,
So like there are a lot of scenes in his version or his director's cut that I think explain like really pivotal parts about the movie. Like
yeah,
how the bomb went off at the Congress hearing, like you see a whole scene about that, like how he
yeah,
kind of talked to the guy, and I'm like, how did you guys cut this out?
yeah,
Of the movie. I'm like, and it helps with the flow of the movie a lot better too. So you get a lot more explanation for kind of these background motivations. It doesn't save the movie whatsoever. I think that it's still a pretty weak film, but I think that those I think it's like 20 minutes, 20, 30 minutes of
yeah.
extra footage. I think it does a lot for explaining even the beginning part, dude. Do you remember the whole desert sequence at the beginning with Amy Adams?
Jimmy Olsen, where they decided to give him 5 minutes in the DCEU before killing him off.
Well,
Yeah,
yeah, that too, but I just didn't understand in the theatrical. I'm like, "What the hell's going on here?" I
yeah,
really don't understand. In the director's cut, they really flesh out that whole sequence. It's a lot longer,
yeah,
and
it
they
is.
explain a lot more of what's going on. So I'd give it a C if we're talking about the director's cut.
1
It's
second. Continue.
um yeah, so I think we were saying a C for Batman vs Superman director's cut specifically.
Yes, I agree
I,
with that. That's very
okay.
strong. Otherwise, like you said earlier, the regular one, D or F, the theatrical one, it's
I
just not good in any way.
I would give it a D.
Yeah,
Like I feel like there are some redeeming qualities in the movies, but
good
it's
scenes.
just some good scenes, but it's just trash. I mean, Doom. The problem is they screwed up Doomsday like so bad, like
Yeah,
really really bad. And then yeah, it's just it felt rushed. The pacing was all over the place. So we can throw BVS on an F, but there is like you said, there's no actual image or poster to select on this.
yeah.
So mentally, yeah, we'll leave it at a C for now. We'll kind of review it at the end and go through it. Um, what I don't even remember what the next release was
I wanna
after.
say it was, let me double check. I wanna say it went straight to Justice League.
Did it? No way, dude. I feel
It's
like
either that
didn't
or Suicide
Suicide Squad?
Squad.
I think Suicide Squad came
Yeah.
afterwards.
Okay, yeah, so it was BVS, Dawn of Justice. Yeah, it was Suicide Squad, Wonder Woman, then Justice League, so yeah.
Okay,
Okay,
so
so
we got
Suicide Squad
yeah, David Ayer, which is
2016.
interesting. I'm still petitioning for the damn David Ayer,
Apparently,
cut.
it's that much better, yeah.
Yeah, dude. I mean, I don't know how much better. I think it's probably going to be like a Zack Snyder, version where it's going to maybe it'll bump it up like 1 or 2 points. But
Yeah.
so we're just talking. Obviously, we only have the theatrical to go off of. Um, I would give that. I don't know. I've never heard you talk about Suicide Squad.
So I
David
think
Ayer's Suicide Squad.
yeah, I love Joel Kinnaman. I love him in pretty much
Hmm.
anything. I think he's a movie seller for me a lot. I like his acting and his chops and everything, but the rest of the cast outside of Harley Quinn and Will Smith, like it just felt so bland. It had a lot of going for it. It's just I don't find it believable to have an almost world-ending threat where the Justice League or you don't have any superhero pop up. I can't buy into the story with the Enchantress thing. It should have been
Yeah,
much more self-contained with the people. So I find it to be a very subpar movie. Like the best I'd probably give it would be a C. I don't think it's horrible. It's unwatchable, like people were saying at the time. And I think Jared Leto did okay as Joker. I thought it was an okay Joker. I didn't
no.
have anything against it. Yeah, I
To
mean,
me,
it's
it's
just
trash,
different.
dude.
Yeah,
No, it wasn't even different. I feel like he was just ripping off. Like he took some Jack Nicholson elements, he took some Ledger elements,
yeah,
and it's like let's just throw some tattoos on there and call. And his laugh is so fucking annoying, dude. I hate
yeah.
his Joker laugh. I can't stand it. I
That I
don't think
can
I've talked
understand.
for.
Yeah.
It really bugs me every time I hear it. Um, I I'd give it a it's hard because this is what launched Margot Robbie off, and I think she does,
Yeah.
this movie, she does a phenomenal Harley Quinn. Will Smith doesn't do a bad job either. I think
Yeah.
he does a decent job as well. I'd give it a D.
A
I
D.
mean, maybe we can maybe bump it up later. I'm not sure, but like right now, I
Okay
mean,
with that.
thinking about it again, it was just not. I remember the hype for it too was just so crazy, man, when it came out. Like it was just insane with that trailer. I remember it was playing the what song did it have on the trailer that was like super popular? It was that Queen
Oh,
song.
I so forgot. It was
Yeah,
Bohemian Rhapsody,
yeah,
wasn't it?
Bohemian Rhapsody was playing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone was like, "Dude, this movie's gonna be fantastic," and
Yeah.
it's like it just
So much
um
hype and energy around it, especially when they showed Jared Leto's Joker. People were so curious.
oh yeah, and then Margot Robbie as well.
Yeah.
It had a lot of hype and it just kind of fizzled out. So
Yeah.
we could leave it at a D for now.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, we'll maybe change it just depending what the
Yeah.
final cut looks like.
How it looks. What about Wonder Woman?
I really liked Wonder Woman, dude. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't think you and I have ever talked about these movies that
Mm-mm.
much at length,
Mm-mm.
but I wouldn't mind throwing it up there in the AS ranking.
I would say A at best, and the only reason is that London scene after they leave the mascara is just so dragged out, man. It's so
Yeah,
dragged
the movie
out
does
that
slow its pace
like
down.
I was so invested with everything, and then that felt like an almost hard stop. Like when you're
Mhm.
going 85 on a highway because the speed limit's 85, and then suddenly it dips to 65, and then suddenly it goes to 45, and then
Yeah,
all of a sudden you're in the middle of a city going 25. That's how I
yeah,
felt as soon as they got to London. Like
yeah.
it's just a slow screech. And then the only other thing, and of course, I'm pretty sure we preface this. We'll be talking even spoilers of the endings of some of these. And we might not go into that much detail on all of these, but this one I'm about to. Ares was goofy at the end, man. The fight was good, but the CGI was just so
It was
bad.
bad CGI. It was really
Yeah,
bad CGI. The actor they had was really good.
yeah,
But yeah, I agree with you there. The CGI was really bad, and I don't remember the fight at all. I don't think it was that
it was good. It just looked
extensive.
wonky.
Okay. I gotta
Yeah,
watch it again, but yeah, I do remember watching it. I think I was watching it in IMAX and just the freaking yeah, I don't know if it was the flames or whatever it was, it just looked, like, really, really bad, like it wasn't done well.
yeah,
And it did throw me out of the movie, so, I mean, we can throw it at A. I think that's a fair and
yeah.
honestly, as much as people like to shit on her, dude, I think Gal Gadot is a wonderful like, she did a great job as Wonder
She's
Woman.
wonderful. Yeah,
I think
she's great.
she was such a, like, humble character, the way she portrayed it was just so humble, and, um, yeah, man, I don't know why people really shit a lot of people still shit on that movie for some reason. A lot of people liked it, but a lot of people say that it wasn't like the Wonder Woman that they wanted.
I
I thought it was
mean,
a cool take
yeah.
on Wonder Woman. I thought it was pretty unique.
Yeah, she was really good. I mean, I there's not really many people I could think of that'd be better. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Especially after seeing her performance. So yeah, I'm comfortable with that at an A.
cool.
Now the one that's a lot more clear cut, the Whedon
Oh
Justice
god,
League.
just throw that in F right now.
Yeah,
Just
it
throw it
was
at it.
really
Were you about
bad.
to defend it and put it at a D?
No, I D because I mean there's some flashes of brilliance and some cool parts in there, some cool scenes, some cool character development, but it gets done better later on. That movie wasn't an F when I walked out of the theater though. It wasn't an F until I got like I was more comfortable probably giving it like a 5 out of 10. You know what I mean? Maybe a
Mm.
4 out of 10. It's pretty much a 1.5 to 2 out of 10 at this point because of Zack Snyder's Justice League. It's just infinitely better. And if I'm already going to spend 2 hours of my time, I might as well double that and watch that version instead.
Dude, I mean, and we can honestly I mean, the director's cut's not on here. We can also talk about director's cut of
Oh, it's
Justice
right
League
here.
because
It's the black
oh,
and
is
white one.
it?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
okay, cool. Then we are gonna talk about that
Yeah,
one.
they
Okay,
only
then
forgot BVS. They got everything else.
oh,
Yeah.
wow, okay. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll talk I'll save discussion on that one for later then. I mean, if we're talking about just the Whedon cut, I when I walked out of the theater, dude, I was just so disappointed. I was, like, beyond disappointed.
Yeah.
I there wasn't anything for me to grasp with this movie, and I felt like even I guess you could say just I mean, obviously, we knew there was studio interference and, Whedon kind of changing things up, but it just felt like a forced Marvel movie. You know what I mean? I felt
Yeah.
like they're trying to take the DC aspects, and obviously Whedon had done an incredible job with the original Avengers. I love
Mhm.
that movie, but like it's like you can't do that with Justice League. It's a different world. These are different characters. It's a different tone. And I feel like he just tried to like funnel everything into this, this kind of Marvel style, epic. And it just didn't work for me whatsoever, man. On top of the freaking Henry Cavill mustache fiasco,
Yeah,
dude. Like that's probably
it
one of
looked
the
awful.
worst CG like moments in film history. If we ever did a video on that.
Almost looks like our background actor or the
Yeah.
the, the background Superman.
It looked
Yeah,
just like that, dude. Look,
yeah,
his lip was like oh my god, man. It looked
yeah.
so bad. What was that? That was like he had the mustache for Mission Impossible Fallout, right?
It was either that or like he was doing The Man from U.N.C.L.E. at that point,
One of the two,
and yeah, it
yeah.
was one of those kind of more thriller-esque movies, and he was contractually obligated to keep his mustache.
Damn.
Yeah, so they
Yeah,
had to
but it's like,
CGI it
come
out.
on, dude. You guys are Warner Brothers. You guys don't have enough money to take out a mustache?
Yeah,
Like
of all things.
effectively.
Yeah.
And that
They
was
probably gave
another
him
thing
2
with this
months to do it.
movie. Like, I mean, the CG in this movie sucked, at least to me.
Yeah.
It was pretty trash.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, are you comfortable leaving it an F?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure comfortable. Now, the better movie, I feel like, out of the DC, and especially from this point going onwards, Aquaman.
I actually agree with you. I don't know, like, so, like, if we're talking about where it would I think it's an S or A movie. I don't know where I'd put it in
Yeah.
S or A. I mean, this is the thing, and let me hear your argument for it first, though. I wanna see where you'd put it, and then I'll
Yeah, so I'd say I'm definitely okay with an S. I think it's right next to Wonder Woman. My only thing is it doesn't feel original because it's like whenever Marvel was hitting their highest of highs, this feels
Mhm.
like that same formula in
You
every
just
which way.
exactly you said exactly what I was gonna say, dude. This to me, this was like Thor. This was just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
watching Thor again, but just like with Aquaman. It was
Yeah.
like literally the same premise as the original Thor movie.
Yeah. Yep. It was
But
very, very, very similar.
Jason Momoa just has such a fun time playing the character though.
Yeah.
And I think that's what saves it. Cause even who the hell was the villain in this movie? Was it
It was Orm,
oh yeah,
Ocean
Orm.
Master.
I mean,
Yeah.
um that's the problem too with a lot of these films, dude. It's like the villains are just so subpar. Like you can't really remember who they are. I don't.
Yeah.
I remember it
Yeah.
was a fun movie. I had a real good time watching it. But that's
Yeah.
what I was gonna say is that I felt like it to me it wasn't as unique as Man of Steel or Wonder Woman was. I felt
Yeah.
like it was pretty much they took Thor and rehashed it into Aquaman.
That's fair. So would you say A or S on that one?
I'd say S like neck. I personally, I mean, we can obviously adjust this later, but I mean,
Yeah.
I think Wonder
I wouldn't
Woman's
be opposed.
better.
You say Wonder Woman's better than Aquaman?
Yeah, just because it's more
So leave it
unique, at
at
least to
A?
me. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you agree with that.
Behind? Yeah, yeah. I'd be okay with that. It just has the same things. Like it's always trying to be funny. Aquaman's not necessarily a goofy character, but that's also
Mhm.
why I like different visions. I think Jason Momoa is just a fun person to play it, and he's just had an absolute blast from
Yeah.
front to back. And I really like the Black Manta scenes in that one a lot. They're really, really
Yeah,
good.
there were loads we're gonna get to Lost Kingdom, obviously, but, loads better than Lost Kingdom. I felt like
Yeah,
those
yeah,
scenes in the original, they were actually, like, pretty exciting to watch.
yeah. I agree. Super fun. Now, the next one, I believe, is Shazam. Yes, it is Shazam. Zachary
Hmm.
Levi. I despise this fucking movie.
Really?
Dude, it is Shazam's actually not as much as Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle is like a top 5 comic book character. I have the original, I think it was like 1940s Ted Cord Blue Beetle comic book before
Okay.
DC even acquired the rights to them. I forget the publisher. I have the first appearance of Jaime Reyes from I believe it was Final Crisis or Infinite Crisis. I fucking love him. And Shazam is up there, like top 10 at least. And it's just like there was this thing during the New 52 comic books whenever Jeff Johns started writing it, where for
Mhm.
some reason they had to like he has the wisdom of Solomon, but the thing is they want to play like him being a kid as a weakness when that was never the thing before
Mhm.
the New 52. And I think it's overly goofy, just stupid goofy. There's not
I
a
can agree with
serious
that part.
moment in this. The villain was the most serious thing, and he was
Mhm.
underbaked for such a good villain, like
Mhm.
Justice League level. Like he's just very
Yeah.
smart. He's like I wouldn't say the
And great
Doctor
actor
Doom of
too.
this. Yeah, phenomenal. He's not like the Doctor Doom of this universe, but he's not far off from it. but
Yeah.
he's just a maniacal genius that can cause Justice League level threats, right? Um, and they just throw him away. And I like the Marvel family stuff. That's shouting out way back to before. I think it was Fawcett Comics
Mhm.
is who originally owned Shazam when he was called Captain Marvel. But I don't like it at all. Like
Wow.
it's a C at best, a D at worst.
I think well, you know what? I when you brought up Shazam, I was gonna say like a C.
Yeah,
I don't hate the movie. I think that there's
yeah,
some a lot of like fun elements to it, and I think that there it I could see where you're coming from where you said there's no emotional like serious arc to this character. I mean,
yeah.
like I think they do enough with obviously the kid at the beginning to kind of set that up, but it's yeah. I mean, I can give it a C.
I
I
see
do think it was overrated. I mean, like, when this came out, it was getting, like, really good, like,
reviews.
critical yeah, I mean, what did it
Oh
get on
no,
Rotten
that's
Tomatoes when it came out?
I don't know. That's a good question. Wait,
Like,
did
it
I
was
just put the same
getting I
one up
remember
there again? I did.
let me see, it got a yeah, here's the original one. Yeah, 90%, dude, on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's crazy.
90%, audience score is 82%. I mean, as far as you can trust Rotten Tomatoes for
Right.
scoring. Yeah, it's to me, it was I didn't hate the movie. I didn't, like, love it. I just came out like, "Hey, there was a lot of, like, fun scenes in there," but it's not if someone told me this is a Shazam movie other than the costume and, him saying Shazam all the time, I wouldn't have seen it.
Yeah.
Like, I can't see that being a Shazam movie, so to speak.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah. But that's another example of a
Yeah.
film I think that was, like, forced into this Marvel approach.
Yeah.
And I think
This
that's
is when
what
it started switching.
yeah, and I think that's where this universe failed, dude. I mean, it started off on obviously, like, with Man of Steel, and it had a good stepping stone, but it's like they should have just stuck with a more serious tone of what, these characters are because it's like you're trying to make everything funny, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just gonna come off copycatish to them.
Yeah. We're
And
not doing
weird.
too bad, actually. So I'm, like, waiting for one that we're, like, blaringly disagreeing on. I feel like
There
there might be one.
might be, yeah, there might be ones, but I don't think so. And yeah, we already knocked out Justice League 2017, Aquaman Shazam. And then let's see, after that we've got Birds of Prey, which was one of the last movies to hit theaters before the pandemic shut down
Before
of the
pandemic,
theaters.
this is the thing that, I debate a lot of people on. I loved this movie.
Yeah.
A lot of people really didn't like it. I can
I had
see
fun.
why. I really, really liked it. Like,
Yeah.
I'd even throw it I know like, it sounds like maybe you throw it at a B?
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed to it because I mean it's just fun and that's the whole point of it.
Yeah, I
It's not
think
the
it's
Birds of Prey that
silly.
we know, but I mean
No,
it's good
not
enough.
at all. It's not I don't even think it's I mean, they
It's
could
just
have
a
named
Harley
this
Quinn
something
movie.
else. Yeah, they should have just named it The Emancipation of Harley Quinn and
Yeah.
and left it at that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not opposed to putting it at a B. I really liked it. I'm almost even willing to say it's, like, low A tier to me. Like, I had that much fun watching that movie just 'cause I felt like what you said, it just doesn't take itself seriously. I think they
Seriously.
went with the Deadpool approach
Yeah.
with this movie, and it just kind of, it knows what it is, and I think, obviously Margot Robbie's fantastic, Ewan McGregor, um, he's not the Black Mask I know from the comics per se, but I
Mhm.
think he has, like, a lot of fun with the role,
Yeah.
and it kinda makes it his own with his own kind of, like, narcissistic, weird personality thing.
Yeah.
Um, I just had a lot of fun with it, dude.
Yeah, I agree. It's really good. I remember, that wasn't too far off from whenever they started, like, the HBO Max, where you still
Mhm.
kinda get the same thing with, like, within a certain amount of time hits HBO Max, this, and this. And it was super close to release date, and I remember watching it at home and having a lot of fun with it. I remember thinking, "Okay, like, this was really, really good. Hopefully, they kinda continue in this direction of being more self-aware." And then
Mhm.
I was just confused why they called it Birds of Prey. It's not Birds of Prey from the comics, which is okay, but the thing is, like, they coulda just I think it probably would have done better if it was just Harley Quinn. Harley Quinn
Yeah.
has a lot of fans, like, I think it had better word of mouth. I think it probably would have did better right before the theater
Mhm.
showed up. Harley Quinn has a lot of fans, and Margot Robbie herself has a lot of fans. So
Yeah.
I think that would have sold it a lot better versus Birds of Prey
'Cause
because
it
nobody talks about it.
underperformed at the box office, right? Like, didn't this was right before
Yeah,
COVID, but, like, it
yeah.
didn't do well?
It was like, man, I kid you not, like I think it was 2, maybe 3 weeks before the shutdown, and that was already
Mm.
whenever it was kicking off. Because I know Sonic was right around the same time.
Man, that's your reference point is Sonic the
Yeah, Sonic
Hedgehog.
was around the same time. Yeah.
Yeah, it made so a budget was 82 to 100 million, which isn't bad. Box office total was 205 million. So I think they kind of broke even maybe with it.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I don't know, man. I loved it. I really really had a fun time with it. I've seen it probably like 2 or 3 times at this point, and if you can give me a movie like you said that's self-aware and it's just like, it's just it knows what it is.
Mhm.
Um I think it was just marketed poorly. I think you're 100% right. They should have just called
Yeah.
it Emancipation of Harley Quinn and left it at that.
And then just left it there. Yeah, I agree. And then what is after that? I wanna say it was the New Sus No.
The which one is it?
It's, Wonder Woman 84.
Let me see.
That's our
Oh.
next one.
Oh man.
So one thing I do like to defend, the movie is goofy, and I think that was the whole
Mhm.
point. It's trying to encapsulate more than just the time setting of 1984. It's also trying to present itself as a corny movie from 1984. I took that
Yeah,
away, and
like
I thought
taking the
more people.
campiness of it.
Yeah, and I thought more people would understand that, but I guess just people just despise that movie, man. But
I didn't
Pedro Pascal
hate it as
kills it.
much. Yeah, no, I think Pedro Pascal does a great job. I didn't hate it as much as like to me it was kind of like mid. I came out of it, I was like, it's not better than the original.
Yeah,
I didn't think it was trash though. I didn't think it was like
yeah,
this is the worst superhero movie ever.
yeah,
It was just kind of like, it was all right.
yeah,
I think it had some. I mean, there are some scenes with Gal Gadot's acting though. There are clips that it's just the acting is just like really bad for some reason. Like I don't
yeah.
know, like it's kind of awkward, but like I'd say it's like mid. I you know what? And people are gonna shit on me for saying this. I like it better than Shazam.
Really?
I would probably put it better than Shazam.
I mean, I probably wouldn't be opposed to it. I mean, it's a fun movie that I think just runs a little bit too long. That's really it. It really does encapsulate. I mean, I'd
Do you like
rewatch
Shazam more
84.
than it?
Not necessarily, for different reasons. I mean, that movie, it's not bad. It's just it pisses me off every time I watch it. It's just like, why is this trying to be so funny? Why is he so
Yeah.
stupid when he's Shazam? This is one of the few people, just like Black Adam, that can take down Superman because one of his weaknesses is magic. And they want to give
Mhm.
him the brain of a child when he has the wisdom of Solomon. That's the
Yeah.
whole point. That's what the S in Shazam stands for, man. Like, Solomon, he's
Mhm.
incredibly smart, and I think they make a reference to it in Fury of the Gods in the dumbest way possible and then continues to act stupid. But it just irritates me because Shazam is like crazy power. He's Superman with thunderbolts.
Yeah, he's supposed to, obviously that was a thing before they made the movie. Was there, hinting at like Shazam and Superman going at it, and I mean when you make him like that childish, it's
It
you
doesn't even
can't get that. It doesn't
yeah,
work, and that's not for sure. I agree with you 100%. That's not the Shazam I remember. I wasn't a I don't want to say big fan. I was just kind of indifferent to Shazam. I don't think like he's like
yeah.
amazing to me, but like I do have some of his comics, and that's not the Shazam I remember reading
Yeah,
from like
exactly.
back in the day. So, but I mean, like if people are gonna shit on me for saying that. I agree. I personally think Wonder Woman 84 is better than Shazam.
I wouldn't necessarily disagree. I also just do not like Zachary Levi in any way, shape, or form. The fake ass suit, like it's just,
You're
dude.
just
There's
like the
so
more you
much.
talk about it, the more angry you're getting. I feel like you
The
just want to
more it
drag it to a
pisses me
D.
off. Yeah, like, I don't like it.
Look at that poster, Chase. Look at it. Like, does that piss you off? Do you want to drag it to a
Yes, I
D?
remember watching that. I think I watched it, like, a month out. It was the first time I didn't go see a DC movie premiere night because after the trailer, I was like it was as excited as I was for Blue Beetle, and
Mm.
how excited I went and saw Man of Steel midnight, Aquaman, Wonder Woman, Birds of Prey, Suicide Squad, Justice League, everything, and then that came out, and I was like, "This just looks so bad. This looks so bad." And outside of that, like, it's not a bad movie. It's just my personal taste for it, and I can't knock it. It's like what I always say, like, I judge a thing for what it is, not what I want it to do.
Yeah.
And what's presented in front of me isn't horrible if I take
Yeah.
away like what I view as super or as Shazam.
But
It's
it's
just
hard not to do that
yeah,
when especially with these characters that have, decades
history.
or
Yeah,
hundreds of issues of just like how a character is, you know what I mean? Kind of like
yeah,
Aquaman. I think Aquaman the original is a good example of like you and I looked at that, we're like, we know what this movie like wants to be, and we
yeah,
and we're just along for the ride and we had fun with it. But that's not the Aquaman from the comics like at
Yeah,
all,
exactly.
like
Exactly.
100%. But it was a fun ride, and with Shazam, that's not the Shazam from the comics at all.
Yeah,
And but it's not like that much of a fun ride. It has its
exactly.
moments, but it to me, it just wasn't. Even with what they were shooting for, it wasn't a good movie. But
Yeah.
I'm curious to see the shit I'm gonna get on Discord or Reddit for saying
What 84 is
Wonder
better.
Woman's. I'd rather watch Wonder Woman 1984 than Shazam.
I wouldn't disagree. I don't remember being upset. I did not go see 80. I don't think I went and saw 84 in theaters. I think theaters were still shut down or they were reopening
Yeah,
with
I saw it in
limited access.
theaters. I mean, it was. I
Yeah,
just walked out kind of like same thing with Shazam. I'm like, it's mid tier. It's like
it's okay.
it's
Yeah.
whatever. I wasn't mad at it though. Like, I mean, some people. I don't know if it's just as time went on, people just got more frustrated with that movie,
Yeah.
for whatever reason. I will say the steelbook for it is pretty fucking.
It
It's
is.
pretty
It's
nice.
very
I
I'm
like
pretty
it.
sure it's that, isn't it? Or no, is that the one where she's
Um,
kneeling in the armor?
I think it's like yeah, she has like the gold
Yeah.
armor on her head or whatever, and
Yeah,
it looks
yeah.
pretty dope. Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah. Now the fun one, the very next one is Zack
Oh
Snyder's
god.
Justice League.
Okay, this one's yeah, man. This is an interesting one. I think we talked about it a little bit when we were ranking the Batman movies,
Maybe.
but
Yeah.
we didn't touch on it too much. Um, I fucking loved this movie.
Same.
I
And the 4 hours
really
goes by
liked it.
fast.
It does, and I think that people really shit on it just because of the 4 hour, the running time. But I think it's just so well paced, especially because I haven't seen it in a minute, but I remember that it's almost episodic, right? It's like
Yeah.
there's portions like it's like chapter 1, chapter 2, or something along those lines, and I feel like it's just so much like the whole sequence with oh my god, what's the villain in this, dude? It's
Dark Side.
Darkseid getting into Wonder Woman's realm or whatever, and like
Yeah.
duking it out with all the like
Looked
the
really
goddesses.
good.
It would look badass, dude. I'm like, this is
Yeah.
and the
And the
eyes
score.
and the score is great, and the IMAX ratio, the aspect ratio, I think actually does a service to it. I think it
Yeah.
looks a little bit more kind of. I mean, it sucks you're missing kind of some of the obviously the side stuff, but I think it does a little bit more. It kind of makes it look a little bit more epic.
Yeah. I agree. I had a lot of fun with it. I wasn't super excited whenever it came out. I watched it whenever it dropped. I think that night,
Mhm.
and I was having fun with it. And I really do think it's one of the better superhero movies that we've gotten out of that whole 10-year stint of them. I
Mhm.
think from front to back, I think they should have. I don't know why they just didn't release that part one, part two, like the original plan. If
Yeah.
people like, there's no way the reception was going to be worse than what you got for the Whedon. Like
At all.
I don't get, and I get they've essentially fired Snyder in post production and then brought on
Mhm.
Whedon for reshoots and stuff like that. The thing is, man, it's like it's just who, and I get Warner Brothers theatrically and what they put out and what they greenlight is full of head scratchers, so it's to no surprise. But who thought it was a good freaking idea to do that?
I
Like,
I don't know,
why?
dude. It's I mean,
Who looked at one and then the other? You know what I mean? And was like,
yeah.
that one's better.
I mean, it's what you
They
said.
should be
It's head
fired.
scratchers. It's head scratchers, and
Yeah,
their logic is like Whedon did Avengers 1 and Age of Ultron. It's like get him into Justice League. It's like
yeah,
that's gonna work, and it's not. It's a completely different franchise, and especially when you have a director. Uh, Zack Snyder is very obviously like I think he's very split with audiences. Like some
yeah,
people love him, some people hate him. I'm one of those people that I think I said in like his most of the Rebel Moon movies, like I respect him because he does what he wants to do. But
yeah,
to me, he's like very hit and miss. He makes some
yeah,
movies that are cool, and then he makes some like absolute trash. But like he does what he wants to do, and he sets a tone for it. And if you bring someone in, 2/3 of the way through, and that's just going to jack up the whole tone and the whole rhythm of the movie, it's not going to work.
yeah,
Um, I think the thing too with this movie, what's interesting is the whole arc with Cyborg, which I think
yeah,
I remember Zack Snyder talking about when he was making the movie. He said he said that Cyborg was a huge part of the film and had
yeah.
this huge emotional arc. And when we saw the theatrical cut, he's like not even
He's
in the movie,
yeah, he's barely even in it.
barely in it. And this one, it's like really heavily focuses on Cyborg, which I love that whole story arc that he has in this movie.
It's tragic.
Um, yeah, tragic, and I think it gives him a lot of motivation. I think it gives the team motivation to do better too, because he's a
Yeah,
lot younger than everyone else is. So, I loved it, dude. I thought it was great. I thought it kept with the tone of Man of Steel, and even though Batman vs Superman wasn't that great, it kept with the tone of those films, which I respect more. And it just it was it was a fun ride. It was
Yeah.
coherent. It isn't an amazing movie, you know what I mean? It's not like
Yeah.
freaking Dark Knight or like Man of Steel level to me, but it's good. I would put it up in A tier.
Yeah, I'd put it on upper A.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
I do want to shout out one of the biggest drawbacks is that Cyborg CGI looks like dog shit in both of the Justice League. Like, dude, he looks like
Yeah.
he's wiggling like a worm at some points. It looks so weird. Like they
I
should have let it cook for a
forgive it.
little longer.
Yeah, I mean, but I forgive it for the Snyder cut because they only gave him like I don't know what the budget was. It's like, hey, we're gonna give you 20 million to reshoot or 10 million to reshoot or whatever. Like it was
Yeah,
a set budget, and he had to go back and fix this shit from years back. It's like that's
yeah,
that's I can't forgive Whedon. Like I really
yeah.
can't. It's like you had like literally a playground to play with and do whatever you wanted, and a budget. I'm
That's what
sure
you
Warner
came out with.
Brothers. Yeah, you came out with a Superman mustache.
Yeah,
Like that's mind
yeah,
boggling to me.
yeah,
So yeah,
yeah,
I'm glad we agreed to because I really and I love the black and white sequences too in
yeah.
Justice League because I think there were a few, right?
Yeah, there were a few, and it looked really good, especially some of the Superman scenes.
Hmm.
Me personally, I'd put it in S right behind Man of Steel because I consider Man of Steel probably outside of like any of the Batman ones. I consider it to be amongst the better superhero movies up there, and the Snyder League Justice League thing. I don't know why that's
I
I
wouldn't
struggle to
be
say that, but
opposed to
yeah,
it if you wanted to put it S tier right behind. I wouldn't be opposed. I think it's epic. I think it's grand. I think it's what he wanted the movie to be. Um,
yeah, I'd put it like right behind there. I think that's a very very solid cut because it's just there's a lot of love and a lot of like
mhm.
things that finally come together. I think it would have been better had a little bit more payoff, like Avenger style, but I don't think it's bad at all.
And it would have been more obviously if I think if they had followed through with what Zack Snyder was saying, and mind you, I know that there are people that don't like Zack Snyder, and I get it. But it's like
Yeah,
if you had just followed through with what he wanted to do, the payoff would have been more of like you could have had a universe with an actual story. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like like I saw like the blueprints there for a foundation that they could have built off of, and they didn't do it.
yeah, yeah.
And
I
it's weird
agree.
seeing Amber Heard talking a British accent.
Yeah, yeah. No, it is. So the next one that came out at that point was the Suicide Squad. James Gunn.
James Gunn Suicide Squad.
That one's really fun.
It's a fun movie, dude. I mean, James Gunn, he he's kind of like Zack Snyder in a way where I think he knows what he wants to do and he doesn't give a fuck what
Yeah,
people
yeah,
say. I mean, you have a giant fucking starfish.
yeah. Starro. Which
Yeah.
fun fact is the original Justice League villain from the original Justice League
Was
number
it
one.
original? Really?
Yeah, that was the first Justice League villain, Starro.
Wasn't he like Justice League of America or some shit like that? Like
It might
later
have been,
on?
yeah, the JLA comic books, but whichever one it was, Justice League number
Yeah,
one.
he's like I know he's like an
Or no,
OG,
it's
like
Brave and the
old
Bold.
school. Oh,
It
is it
was in
Brave
a
and the
Brave.
Bold?
Yeah, it was Brave and the Bold comic book.
I remember he is OG. He's like it's an old like
Brave and the Bold
quirky.
28.
But I think that's the beauty of James
Yeah,
Gunn too, right? He knows these comics to some extent, and he knows it's like, yeah, let me get fucking Starro. Like no one
yeah,
else would have picked Starro as the villain of their
yeah,
movie.
yeah,
But it works. I think this is what we wanted from the original Suicide Squad.
yeah,
100%. I think it's like it's fun, it's wonky, it's self-aware. It has that massive threat that I mean that was like a Justice League level threat, but it's just
yeah.
so ridiculous and over the top. It's
It's
like
viable.
it's
Yeah,
viable, you know what I
and
mean? And
Peacemaker was fun in this, man.
have you seen the series for Peacemaker?
Yeah, it's genuinely one of my favorite things in the entire DC universe,
I
man.
would honestly, if we threw, I mean, that's not a movie. I would throw that S or A tier. I had a
Yeah,
blast watching that thing,
it's
dude.
so fun.
It is so much fun. And that little Justice League Easter egg appearance at
Yeah,
the end, like fucking
yeah,
hilarious.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, I loved it, dude. It's so much fun. You got Idris Elba. I think he's having a blast in it too. I think they did a good job putting him as kind of the new team lead, so to speak. But you also
yeah.
have what's his face from the original? Dude, why am I forgetting his name? The team lead from the original one.
Joel Kinnaman,
Yeah.
he was
Uh,
back in this as
yeah, he
Rick
was,
Flag.
wasn't he? Yeah, he was Rick Flag. Yeah, he
Yeah,
because
he
Rick Flag
was.
was fighting Peacemaker.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. You're
Yeah.
right.
So they
Yep.
had him kind of in it. Like it was just a good like I think he considering that he had a crappy foundation to start with, I
Mm.
think he did a fantastic job with what was given to him. You know what I mean? Like he had Margot Robbie, he had Idris Elba. He was able to kind of take some of the story from the original. Took Amanda Walker back, and you freaking Sylvester Stallone as a freaking shark. Like,
Yeah.
like
That one's fun.
it's fun, dude. It's a really really and the polka dot man.
Yeah, that one's cool.
It's a great
Yeah.
movie. I don't know where I'd put it. Um,
I'd say
is
A or B.
I'd say like lower A tier. I think it's a
Yeah.
better movie than Birds of Prey.
Yeah. Oh, really?
I
You
think
think it is or
so.
you don't think it is?
I don't know. I'm like torn on it because
I'd
I'm
say it
always like,
is. The score is
give me
good.
more Margot Robbie. But
Yeah. Yeah, the score's really good. And I mean, she's in
mhm.
the Suicide Squad and like you said, Polka Dot Man and then Rat Girl. Super fun.
Yeah,
This it was just it felt like again, it was trying to return to form, and then we've got these next 5.
yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah.
These do not look good. I mean, so you just to preface, guys, I have not seen Blue Beetle. I have not seen Shazam 2. So
Okay.
Chase, I'm just gonna
Yeah.
give him on good faith on those. But
You seen
we
Black
did a
Adam?
review for yeah, I saw Black Adam. We
Yeah.
did do the review for is that the next one, Black Adam?
Mhm.
Oh, okay, my bad. I was like going in order. So Black Adam.
Yeah.
Uh,
Honestly, I think that movie garners a little bit too much hate. I think it's a perfectly fine movie.
I'd give it. It's not horrible. It's not
Yeah.
trash. I don't want to say it's trash.
Yeah.
I'd put low C or
I'd say
high
low
B.
C. The JSA aspects of it were fun enough while it felt shoehorned in. At the same time, it felt like they were just trying to get you like a bunch of different characters introduced into one movie. I think The
Mhm.
Rock did a perfectly serviceable job as Black Adam while not being, serious enough to a degree, but some of the scenes were super menacing in this as well.
Yeah, there were many. It was this was rated PG-13, right?
Yeah.
This needed to be an R movie.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like for me to kind of buy in more to the character, I felt like it just
Mhm.
wasn't. I mean, Black Adam's dark. Like there are a
Yeah.
lot of dark stories with Black Adam, and it's like I mean, but obviously they want to sell movie tickets, so it's
Yeah.
not a horrible movie. I haven't seen it since it came out theatrically, so I saw it opening night, and I remember I did like The Rock. I did like the some of the Justice because this was a JLA, right? That was in it.
Justice Society.
Justice Society. So yeah, the
Yeah, yeah.
JSA stuff was kind of fun. But it's like it's just it always ends with this like giant wonky CG crap fest that's just like not engaging whatsoever. And I think that's the problem with a lot of these movies. It's um it had kind of like this human element to it, and then it just
Mhm.
loses it during the second half of the film.
Agreed.
But it's
Yeah.
not as bad. Yeah, it's not like fucking. It's definitely not Justice League bad.
Right.
And I agree. I don't think it's as bad as Suicide Squad either. Um,
Yeah.
the first one with David Ayer. So we can put it there. I think that's a safe place to put it.
You think that one's a cozy spot?
I
Let's
think
see
it's a
what's
cozy
next.
spot. I'm like looking at the timer here. Do we said 45 minutes, right?
Yeah, we should have what, like 6 more minutes or so?
We have 5 minutes left or 4 minutes left.
We might not make it.
Let's
Let's
see.
see.
I mean,
So
what's the
that
next one?
one. You haven't seen this one, so I'll go ahead and do it. Fucking F. That
F.
movie's
I had a
fucking
feeling that everyone
trash.
said that it's worse than the first one.
Oh my god, it's so bad. It is so bad. Like,
Is it worse than
genuine.
Justice League?
Yes. Because at
Wow.
least
Okay.
Justice League had cool sequences. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, it had, oh, cool, this, that, some of the fight scenes, like the fight with Steppenwolf.
Mhm.
The Themyscira scene is still in there, everything like that. The underwater bubble scenes with Aquaman and Mira looked
Yeah.
really cool, but there's literally nothing redeeming about that movie. I literally kept checking my watch, and I didn't go to theaters for this. I bought it like $9.99 during Best Buy's closure.
Oh lord.
Just no,
Is it
man.
still on your
Just
shelf?
no. Yeah, sadly. God, that's
Um,
literally the worst one. But
yeah,
yeah, I'd give that movie like a 2.5 or 3 out of 10. That movie was just not good.
we have 3 minutes left. Which
So
actually, you know
next
what?
is
We had to
Flash.
pause it real quick. We had to pause the video. I'll give it to 46 minutes because we have to pause the video real quick.
Yeah, yeah, you're
And I
right.
didn't reset the clock. So we'll do 46 minutes. That's probably why.
I think the
Um,
Flash is a little overhated.
I agree 100%. I mean,
Yeah.
and this is removing the Idris Elba drama. I'm like taking that off the table because I mean, I think
Or the
that's
Ezra Miller
maybe
stuff.
or
Yeah,
Ezra
yeah.
Miller. I'm sorry, I said
Yeah,
Idris
yeah.
Elba. Oh my god, Ezra Miller.
I was like, where was
Um,
he in this?
yeah. Leaving all that bullshit to the side,
Yeah.
I had fun with The Flash.
Yeah.
I thought it was a fun movie. It's not amazing. I'd probably honestly put it under Birds of Prey.
Oh, you put it in B?
I like it more than Wonder Woman, but less than Birds of Prey, personally.
That's fair. I see what you mean. Yeah, I
It
wouldn't be
and
against it. It had heart, it had soul, and Ezra Miller
Yeah.
acted his ass off in this
Mhm.
one. And
Michael
it's
Keaton's
just
kinda wasted a little bit. Like,
yeah,
that kind of like that's the part that kind of I was excited for it, and it just didn't pay off. I didn't feel that kind of, like, Michael Keaton energy.
yeah, agreed.
Um, but it's a fun movie. It has integrity. I think it has good character. I think his story
Yeah,
arc is really, really solid.
yep. And then so after that, we have Blue Beetle. So I will speak on that one because you said you haven't
Yeah,
seen
I
it.
have not
That
seen it.
movie. So I'm personally gonna put it in A, and I'll give you my reason why. I Blue Beetle top 5 superheroes in all of comic books, up there with Spawn, Moon Knight, and stuff like that. I think he's a very charming character, and he's based out of a place not too far off from where I grew up, so he captures a
Mhm,
lot of the culture from that place,
mhm,
and that's kind of what his whole thing is. This movie does a perfect job of capturing the culture, the comedy, the lightheartedness, the I'm not ready to be a superhero. Why am I a superhero? Oh, I have to do this. I have no choice, type of approach is done extremely, extremely well. There's literally no way for it to be better. And again, it's a
mhm,
little bit of bias. It's one of the few times I've had a movie made and it felt like it was genuinely made for people that read the comic books. The villain that you get in it isn't like they gave him like dark Superman or something. And it's like, oh, here, look how
mhm,
powerful Blue Beetle is. They gave you somebody that he would actually fight, and I forget who it is. It's like Red something. He's like this Russian big, like heavy suited guy that he fights in the comic books every now and then, kind of like a villain of the week. But I
mhm.
appreciated that. I didn't need an overdeveloped villain for Blue
Yeah,
Beetle. I needed a almost like a long TV episode, if that makes sense. That's how the
yeah.
comics have always been, other than like they had the Beetle Wars, or I forget which one it was. There's something about a crisis where all these beetles started showing up, and then the different colored beetles, and that was a Justice League level threat in the comics. But yeah, the movie can't really be much better. It literally nailed
I gotta
it on
watch
the
it.
head.
I do need to
It's
watch it.
fun.
I'll probably see it maybe this next weekend just because this is, like, literally, I think, the only one that I haven't seen. Well, Shazam, I'm not gonna touch just because
You
how
don't
you
need
talked
to.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah.
We have 1 minute left, for Lost King. I think this one might be easy because we did a full-on review of it.
We did do a
Um,
full on review
so
for
I
that.
mean, for me, it's a D. It's below Suicide Squad, but I know you liked it more than I did.
Yeah, but I'd be okay with a D. I had fun with it, but I don't think I mean, honestly, I don't think it's as bad as Shazam, but
Mm,
I don't think it's better than Black Adam.
I don't think it's better than Black Adam. I don't think it's better than Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
I think Shazam's just in that weird place where it's like it knows what it wants to be.
Yeah.
But I mean, Lost Kingdom was just,
You despise that movie.
I just didn't hear. I'm gonna stop it. We had 45, 41, and we did have to stop the camera.
Oh, there
So
you go. Yep.
we did it just in time at 45 minutes.
Hell yeah.
Um, but yeah, it was just I don't know, man. There's nothing I like besides Jason Momoa. I think I remember us talking about it in the review. He had an
Mhm.
absolute blast. You could tell he's having fun with this, and he just loves playing this character. But outside of that, there's nothing that I liked in the movie, like
Yeah.
whatsoever.
That's understandable. Yeah, I think it was just trying to go off on a little bit of a high note. I thought parts of it were cool, but ultimately it felt weightless. That's
Hmm.
really about it?
That's a good term to describe that movie.
Yeah. It just felt weightless.
It
But
felt like
it's
a whole bunch of epicness, and there's no sense of like urgency or weight to it.
yep. And then to let people who are audio listeners run through the list again. So in order from S down bottom, it'd go Man of Steel and then Zack Snyder's Justice League. Then A it'd be Wonder Woman, then the original Aquaman, then Blue Beetle. Then B it'd be the James Gunn Suicide Squad, Birds of Prey, and then The Flash. And then starting off C it'd be Wonder Woman 84, then Shazam, and then Black Adam. Then D, it'd be the David Ayer Suicide Squad, and then Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom. Then F for failure would be the Whedon League and Shazam Fury of the
Shazam's the
Gods.
worst one.
Man, that's literally one of the worst superhero movies I've ever seen. It's just so
Yeah, I mean, I remember
diabolically
seeing the
bad.
trailer and I cringed at the trailer when I saw it. I was not excited for it, and like I walked out of the first one like, like it's not bad.
Yeah.
That trailer just looked really bad, and I mean, I think it's interesting to kind of process. I don't know what you think about saying, if we compare it to Marvel, right?
Mm.
Like saying that like SA tier for some of these movies, a lot of these SA tier movies wouldn't touch some of the Marvel ones, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
just depending on what point you're weighing it against. Because if you're talking about anything really post Avengers Endgame, I'd be willing to stack some of these up.
Yeah,
But I
for
mean,
sure,
yeah,
100%. Yeah, post I mean, that's a whole different, I think, like,
yeah,
territory is
yeah,
post Avengers Endgame. Something happened
yeah,
there, man.
yeah,
But I think, when we're talking about S tier, we're talking about within the realm of this universe specifically. I just
yeah.
didn't want people coming in saying, like, "You think Wonder Woman's an A tier movie?" Like, no, we're talking about specifically
In
within
the
the
realm of
tier of,
superheroes. Yeah,
yeah, of the realm of the DCEU movies.
yeah,
But yeah, I agree with you. I think post Endgame that you could stack some of these movies up against the
yeah.
trash that Marvel's been putting out lately because it's been super depressing, and hopefully Deadpool fixes some of that. But
We'll see
um,
soon.
we'll see. But yeah, this is it sucks, man, because I was actually really excited after Man of Steel came out.
Same.
I was really, really stoked with like, man, they could really make an amazing universe with this. And I remember even seeing the black and white photo of Ben Affleck as Batman. Do you
It
remember
looks
that when that
so
came out?
cool.
It
Yeah,
looked
with like
so bad. The
the
gray
tarp
suit.
over his. Yeah, the tarp over the Batmobile.
Yeah, I know. I think they
Yeah.
showed the Batmobile
Oh, did
on
they
that
in that
picture.
one?
Yeah, it
Okay.
was like it was him, and I was like, dude, I love the gray suit. I was like, I love how buff he looks. He just looks
Yeah,
like I really liked Ben Affleck's Batman. I know a lot of
I
people
did
shit
too.
on it. I liked it. I thought it was cool. I think he even played a better Bruce Wayne. And he had a lot of and this is the thing with Batman versus Superman. I think he had a lot of good motivation, like to hate Superman. I thought that they
Yeah.
did that beautifully with the whole like he saw the destruction that happened when he was in Metropolis, and
Hmm.
I thought I was like, man, they laid this out so beautifully. It just was not executed well.
Yeah.
They had a lot of good actors, a lot of good opportunities. They just didn't execute this universe well. And I think as soon as the Zack Snyder thing, as soon as he came out of play with it, it was just shambles from there.
Yeah, I agree. It just felt more like a script. Like they had a whole drawn out idea. I felt like they
Mhm.
had the formula and then it got skewed with the box office performance, which I don't know why you dump so much money in advertising on a $250 million budget and bring it over 600 million, and it's not going to do 1 point some odd billion
That's
dollars.
Justice League did 600, or that was $600 million budget?
It didn't have
With
post
well, I mean,
advertising.
yeah, with the
BVS did, I want to
advertising.
say.
Oh, BBS.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and especially when you don't need to. I mean, obviously, this is all retrospect, but I do feel like this is common sense as well. It's like you don't need to advertise the fuck out of Batman versus Superman. Like
Exactly.
you have Batman and Super. Everyone's like been stoked for this movie like for decades.
Yeah,
We
it's like
talk
a
about this movie
childhood dreams
forever.
come to life.
Yeah, and I'm like, why are you dumping so much money in advertising? Like it's like you're desperate.
Yeah,
Um,
so, like, dude, it says 250 to $325 million on their budget. It made 874.4 million. So had they tightened that up to around the $200 million mark or something, this movie would have been a
mhm.
success in their eyes. They would have doubled their post-advertisement budget and everything,
Yeah, but I
you
mean, you
know?
know how Warner Brothers is. They just don't. They don't
Yeah,
think things
exactly.
through, dude. It's honestly, and we may do. I think we're talking about maybe doing a state of the cinema, maybe when we can get
Yeah,
Will with us,
yeah,
because I feel like that is a huge issue that a lot of these theater chains or not theater chains, the studios are facing is like they have these budgets and then they're not thinking about like the marketing. You know what I mean? On top of the budget, like, and it's
yeah,
like at that point, it's like, dude, like, what are you doing?
yeah,
You're advertising way too much, and
yeah.
you don't need to.
Yeah, it's like, okay, so The Strangers Chapter 1, just as an example,
Mhm.
$8 million budget for all 3 of the movies. Think it just broke $26 million worldwide. They've made their money,
Wait, so they filmed all 3?
yeah, concurrently. The movies are already done, and the second
Oh,
one will release
really?
later this year. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
Which I'll go see them, but, like, that's to prove a point. Like,
Mhm.
that's my even in comparative to, like, Batman v Superman, after that, that movie is technically more successful than Batman v Superman, just on a much smaller scale. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Because they don't have 700 million and then they're only making 150 million. They aren't doubling, tripling, or whatever they dumped into that. I think they were expecting it to be like a $1.25 billion
Oh,
blockbuster
I
fest.
mean, I think in another era, I mean, it could have been, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, if this
Yeah,
was, like, done right, it could have been a billion-dollar movie.
exactly. They should have just released the director's cut originally and they would have had no issues.
Yeah, I just think, dude, I think marketing is really, really, it's becoming an issue, like how much they're spending on marketing, and then also on
Mhm.
CG. I mean, we talk about Godzilla minus one all the time. It's like, I
Yeah.
mean, look at that movie, and then look at Doomsday and Batman vs Superman.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Looks terrible.
wild. It's
Yeah.
wild, man, and it's like they really need to tighten up because I mean, when we'll talk about it probably when we do the episode, but when we look at Furiosa's numbers and some of the other numbers from the movies of this year, it's kind of like discouraging.
Yeah.
Um,
No, I
but yeah,
agree.
we'll get into that. But we hope that you guys enjoyed this one. We just I thought it was more fun shitting on these movies than we. You know
Right.
what's funny is like we actually gave a lot of them more praise than
Then you
I
thought
thought.
same.
Yeah, I thought I would shit on them a little bit more. But there are some redeeming qualities of these movies.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, we appreciate you guys for watching and staying tuned with us. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment down below. Let us know what your order is for these movies. I'm sure that we're probably going to get some comments related to how
For
we rank
sure.
some of these, but we appreciate you guys for listening, and we will catch you for the next one.
Appreciate you guys.